Well, my name is Rod. I'm glad to be with you. I'm actually remotely here in Queen Creek, Arizona, where I'm just taking a break from a strategic facilitation I'm doing with a church that's growing leaps and bounds. But I'm grateful for all of us being here today. And the topic that I'm really enjoying these, so thank you. So today's topic, and I will send out my notes afterwards, is called Leading Between the Sundays, how teams get built for the long haul. So let me give you the background of where this learning came from. It happened about 12 or 13 years ago, and I was during an interview process for a mega church out here in this Arizona area. And when we were getting closer to the end of my potential employment, the pastor made very clear to me what it meant to be a full-time employee there. And he said to be a full-time employee at this particular church setting simply means a minimum of 50 hours a week. And the rationale that he based what he considered this 50-hour-a-week template was this idea of an all-star volunteer. And he said, as an all-star high-capacity volunteer, he said they would probably live out the following scenario. They had their regular job that they worked 40 hours a week. Then he said the remaining 10 hours he felt would be given to the church in some capacity. So he said there would be 3 hours for worship and serving on Sunday morning. He said more than likely they're connected relationally in some kind of small group, so there were 2 hours there. And then he said there was about 5 hours a week that would be given to admin work or for special projects. So it's that 5 hours a week that I want to focus in on. And the 5-hour number is arbitrary. We could be talking more hours or less. The point is the time block between the Sundays is where we have seen and experienced teams getting built for the long haul. And like the reason why I say the time is arbitrary, I was just working with an organization where there's a volunteer that volunteers between the Sundays, 40 hours a week, because she's retired as and loves to be at her particular organization. So for the sake of our conversation, I'm presenting these learnings from the vantage point of a weekend serving role. And the reason why I'm glad we're having this conversation is because there is a growing trend that's taking place in the church regarding volunteerism. And so this is going to help undergird this point. There was a time when you could ask someone and get a weekly commitment to volunteer somewhere, where we would say, hey, whether it's kids, whether it's greeting, and they would say, yes, I'll be here every Sunday. Then it moved to a bi-weekly commitment. And sometimes that can be helpful, especially in the kids space, where they might serve in the first and third, second and fourth, and that sort of things. However, what I've observed, and this has been taking place for the last couple of years now, a trend is moving to a let me get back to you trend. And where that response goes something like this: I would love to help, but can I let you know by Thursday afternoon? Now, the question is, why Thursday afternoon? The reasons are many, but often it is waiting to see if a better offer surfaces before they can make the commitment on the weekend. Now, Julian, you're laughing because there's a lot of truth to this. So for example, a person might be waiting to see if a friend's condo in Steamboat Springs is going to open up, and they'll know by Thursday if it's going to be free for the weekend. So what happens is they get the text message, hey, my brother-in-law is going to use the room. Then guess what? Julian, just using you as an example, you get back to me and say, hey, Rod, we'll be more than happy to be there this weekend. But that seems to be the growing trend. And this is not just for people who are casual attenders. These are some of our best volunteers. So because of this kind of reality, some of the unintended consequences has been most notably the absence of leadership between the Sundays. And instead, we've gone to this simply getting by for game day preparation. Now, when we talk about between the Sundays, it's really about one word, and that word is preparation. And I want to quote somebody, and I can't think of a better person to quote, maybe not the most popular person to quote, but it's Bobby Knight. He said, the will to win is not nearly as important as the will to prepare to win. Everyone wants to win, but not everyone wants to prepare. And it's in these in-between Sundays where teams get built for the long haul. So here's what I mean by that. When we lead between the Sundays, we can do three things. The first thing is we can go deeper relationally. Now, when I'm talking about going deeper relationally, I'm not saying that there's an expectation of the people we serve and becoming our best friends or unloading every single thing taking place in our lives. But when I'm talking about going deeper relationally, It's simply making a phone call, asking a couple of questions just like this. And this is how we can go deeper relationally. One of the questions can be simply, can you share with me what your serving has been like? Your serving experience has been like. Just that simple question opens up an opportunity to go deeper relationally. Or another question is there anything that you need from me to make your serving experience more effective? So just something as simple as that opens up a 3 to 5 minute conversation that you'd be surprised how much relational equity you get from that and how there's a sense of deeper camaraderie taking place. The second thing is you get to provide development intentionally. Now, there is great practice in living out what Ken Blanchard made popular, catching people in the act of doing something right, or what he would call 1 minute praising. However, what I've observed is constructive feedback, on the other hand, can benefit from a more thoughtful approach where we're not in the busyness of game day serving activity, but in a relaxed time block where we can give feedback more constructively. So for example, when we give 1 minute praising, we can say to Jennifer, man, I just love the way you and Scott make our guests feel so welcome. That's easy. But if I had to give something a little bit more of a greater feedback or something we can improve, oftentimes doing that on the fly in game day doesn't render the best results. We're in a more relaxed environment where I can simply call Jennifer and say, hey, Jennifer, are you open to some feedback from what I observed this past Sunday? And usually in that setting, someone like Jennifer said, oh yeah, please, what is there something that concerned you? No, it's not a big thing, but I just want to point out something that took place that maybe is something we can work on in the ensuing weeks. So I noticed we can provide development intentionally. And the last thing is we can cover the details unhurriedly. So most, again, in a Sunday context, we have some type of pre-meeting for our respective area service where we tend to go over what the game plan for the day is. And what I've observed is it is a mistake to try to use this time to cover all the details. It's simply not enough time. Instead, this should be a recap of what we've already provided in detail throughout the week. So in the between the Sundays, we can provide the more detailed approach, and then Sunday becomes a recap. So what I've observed is these things lead for the long haul. So one of the best examples I've seen how this has been lived out of leading for the long haul is a man named Hal Jones. And Hal Jones is someone who recently passed away. In fact, he passed away last year, and he was a Campus Crusade for Christ, now currently called Cru, volunteer leader at the University of Hawaii. And the story behind Hal's legacy as a leader is just too much to share in our time right here, but let me just share this much. His girlfriend at the time, her name was Lana, was challenged by Bill and Vonette Bright to go to the University of Hawaii and start a volunteer Campus Crusade for Christ. Hal wanted to date Lana, but she wouldn't date him because he was a Christian. Consequently, he gets saved and becomes one of their best leaders. And then he began, remember, Crusade doesn't have staff yet on Hawaii. He only has volunteers. And he began to lead a very robust men's small group of college kids. And this is where Hal would put into this practice by leading between the Sundays, because he would lead a small group during the week. But between those meeting points, this is what Hal would do. And this is between the years of 1967 and 1970. I'm not even born yet. And between 1967 and 1970. And Hal, with no email, no text messaging, with a landline phone in his dorm, would call all 16 men in his Bible study every single week, even in the midst of finals. And I remember this war story where he would tell this. He goes, hi, Hal, Dennis, this is Hal. I got 30 seconds. I know we're in the midst of finals. How can I pray for you this week? And Dennis might say, hey, you know what? You can just pray because I'm feeling really stressed. I have to go home for the weekend, but I got this. Thank you. I wrote it down. I'm going to be praying for you. Boom. Hey, Julian, this is Hal. I know we're in the midst of finals. How can I pray for you this week? Boom, Carl, this is Hal. How can I pray? He would do this every single week. And he built a legacy to which Campus Crusade then became fully staffed. I believe they became their first full staff members. And years later, I would be the byproduct of this ministry in 1990. And now I'm a peer of his daughter, actually. It's funny, his daughter is now in the movement, and we were serving together as leaders. But I became a byproduct of a student leader where I rededicated my life to Christ, find my call to ministry as a result. But it was because someone like Hal led between the meeting points For him, it wasn't Sundays, it was leading between the Tuesdays because they had a Tuesday night gathering. But for us in the context of church, it's the leadership between the Sundays is where teams get built for the long haul. So the challenge I want to give to us, and I'm going to be sending out my notes to everyone, a modified version that I sent to Dennis, is what is one simple way that we can engage with our teams on a weekly basis? Is it something we can go deeper relationally by just calling to get some feedback on what their serving experience is like? Is it to provide development intentionally? That's something we can help them grow and improve on? Or is it some way that we can build into a way of providing details on a more regular basis on something that we can do during the week? So that is my challenge to all of us. And I hope this has served you in some way. I'm looking forward to the next topic, which is consistency, how you build momentum and attract people for your team. So that's for in the May topic. But again, this leading between the Sundays, that's where we develop for the long haul. So Dennis is going to lead the kind of discussion part. But again, the key question is, what is one simple way that we can engage with our teams on a weekly basis moving forward? So thank you again for your time. I'm going to take off, but it was great being with you guys. I'll see you this Sunday.
Thank you, Rod.
Thanks,
Thank
Rod.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so good stuff, huh? And I know that this happens to me, I can get into the mode of, all right, we sort of leap from Sunday to Sunday or, small group night to small group night and forget about it's like, okay, I got the bases covered, especially for leading a team, and forget about actually, I think what the muscle of ministry is the relationships. And the more teams that you lead, the easier it is to become less relational. So here's a question, and I know all of you are on a variety of different teams. So what is one thing that you could do in the coming, and let's just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to commit to doing this between now and the next of one of these, which I think is the 19th of May or something like this, not the 14th of May, whatever day it is, the third Tuesday. So what is something that you could do with your team to up the relational ante? So we're just going to stay all together. I know last time we had more people, so we did breakout groups. So we'll just stay here. So what's something that you could do? Go for it, Carl.
Thank you. It's occurred to me that I could be sending out sort of reports to the group about what we've done, what we've accomplished, what we have yet to do. And this is particularly true with big projects like the one I'm currently working on, but even the one that took us a couple of weeks to build a wheelchair ramp for a couple of ladies. It would help build and catch the vision of this is what it looks like to serve Christ in my skill set. And it's my skill set, it's not everybody else's. And this is perfectly acceptable. So, and it wouldn't take too awful long to throw in a couple of pictures, throw in a Word document and just say, thanks so much for your help. Here's what we got done this time with this group of team. Great, wonderful, all those wonderful things. Here's what we have left to do, however long it takes, which is how I'm treating, it's how I'm treating my vision of what I'm about in this ministry.
I have another suggestion. You could take a short video of someone who's helping you and go, hey, why are you here today? give me 2 reasons why you're here today, blah, blah, blah. And send that out. That would be another thing you could do between. So it's not just always coming from you, and you're pretty good at this. That'd be another option. So who else? Good. Thank you, Carl. Who else? What's something you could do between your sort of experiences?
Hey, Dennis, is that,
Go
sorry,
for it, Tony.
I'll
Go
let
for it,
you
Tony.
know.
Ross, you
Okay,
go.
I'm just going to make this quick because I wanted to leverage off of what Carl sort of said. Dennis, I think one thing I could do, I found out that several guys on the coffee team go to the Saturday morning men's meeting. I thought, man, that'd be great to just, try to get to those and just hang with the coffee guys a little bit and talk with them a little, without pressure. We don't have to serve coffee or anything. We just, I think Carl goes to those. It'd be neat to catch Carl, let's say, and get updates on his projects and what we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. That was my 2 cents.
Good.
Mhm.
We'd love to have you on Saturday.
You could make sure we put the coffee stuff back in the place, right place.
There it is.
Somebody
Coming from
else.
someone with the restaurant experience, I appreciate that too.
Ross, you were gonna go next.
All I was going to say is ours isn't a team, it's a small group, and we have just started. And so we're not doing anything because we don't during the week because we don't want to scare people off.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had a couple or two that we were concerned that, we were like coming on too strong. And there is that part of that. But I do remember a couple of years ago when I was, somebody convinced me to be involved in the youth group in order to stay connected with a group of kids. I wrote them a letter. I mean, by hand, and mailed it to them every Monday so they would get it on like Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know what it did. I heard back twice after doing it for a year, every week with 6 kids. But I mean, that, those kinds of handwritten things sometimes become pretty meaningful and really out of the ordinary these days.
For sure.
Wow, I agree.
Yeah, a comment about you're concerned about people getting scared away. It's the people who are unaware that they might be scaring people away that do. So you're aware of it, you probably won't.
Yeah.
Somebody else, something you've done or could do.
I feel a little in no man's land in that I feel
Yeah.
like I'm not in leadership. I'm on 2 teams. I'm on the greeting team and I'm on the Partners in Hope team, but there are those little shots of time like the gala or Oktoberfest where you're in more of a leadership role for a shorter term time. So I'm just starting to build my kids team for the gala and I have one person. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll reach out to her.
Good comment. We have 2 minutes, so we'll finish up here real quick. Anybody else?
I think I feel similar to piggyback on what Jennifer just said, since I'm rolling our volunteer engagement team, and I don't want to speak for Patty or Nicole, but reaching out to people. And being a salesperson, I always never want to over reach for someone. They say, I'll get back to you. I'm like, it's no pressure. I'm just reaching out to you because you had this request or you had this interest. We're just here to give you the options. So I feel like it's kind of hard to go back second, third, fourth time to do that. So, but we're finding our way to do that, though, at least myself.
I have an example of what not to do.
Okay, make it quick. We have 1 minute.
I got a letter today. No, yesterday. Or anyway, it was addressed to me misspelling my first name, which anybody who knows me knows that I'm Carl with a K always. I mean, it's almost like my second name. Did not have a return address, except that it was 628 Ptarmigan Run in Loveland, but it was handwritten and it was handwritten on the envelope, which is nice. I mean, that's a nice deed. So I get this nice letter. It says, hello neighbor. And it's from the JWs. And it says, I'm a Bible
Jehovah's
student here in
Witnesses.
Loveland. So it was the Jehovah's Witnesses. So what not to do? Don't misspell someone's name. People are rather proud of their names. Go figure. So I'm going to write them back. Say, oh, thanks. By the way, take a look at BibleProject.com. You want to come in jw.org? I'll send this one to you. So it'll be fun to reply in a respectful fashion. But thank you, Karen B, whoever you may be. But the point is, you got to get your people right if you're going to send a letter.
Yeah.
It shows that you really do know who they are.
Who they are. Yeah. One other thing. Oftentimes stuff happens in people's lives And I mean, I'm telling you stuff that you already know, because I know you all pretty well. And we sometimes we're hesitant to initiate caring. On our team, Julian and Patty, Nicole and myself, we're on the volunteer engagement team. And it's interesting that a number of personal things have happened in people's lives. And this team has reached out, and like we sent flowers a couple times. We were able to, provide a meal for one of our team members. That's stuff that happens between the weeks, and it just, it's not even a conversation. It's we care about you. We spend a little money. I think sometimes it's like that money isn't everything, but it is something. And it's like we gave of ourselves in numerous ways, and that stuff just goes a long ways. So anyway, I'm gonna land the plane here. So again, this is a series of 6 seminars. They're at lunchtimes. They're from 12:15 to 12:40, which is right where we are. So they're 25 minutes. We are recording each one. So if you miss one, I always send out the email with the link to YouTube so you can watch the next one or one that you missed. And they're all building on each other. So thank you for participating. Thank you for the teams that you're leading. It's fun to serve with you and grow together and learn this stuff. So thanks to Rod. He's gone, but thank you, Rod. All
Was
right.
Patty
We'll
going to
see
say
you.
a quick thing?
Go for it, Jennifer.
No, I said, was Patty going to say a quick
Oh.
thing? Did we
No,
cut you
actually, I
off?
wasn't.
Okay.
All
I
right.
thought I cut you off, so.
No.
All right.
I do have a
So
question for Patty, not a quick question for Patty.
Mhm.
I grew up with a guy named Rob Piper in Boulder.
No relation.
Okay, that was
Not
the
from North
question.
Dakota.